Good evening once again everyone and welcome to IELTS program. In today's session I would like to give you essential details on how you can use certain idioms, particularly for speaking module, and augment your band score. And definitely your language will become far more articulated. So let me just run down through the range of these idioms which you can use in your language and with which you can definitely proliferate your scores. So the first idiom I'm going to be looking at is to add fuel to the fire. For instance, yes, to aggravate or intensify a situation. We can see that sometimes wrong speeches of the leaders add fuel to the fire and people become bloodthirsty, and there can be so much of turmoil or agitation in the country or the world. Number two we have is to build castles in the air, which means daydreaming. It's so important for each one of us never to build castles in the air and try to live in reality and convert every dream into action, because action speaks louder than words. Number three I would like to come up is to burn the midnight oil, which means to work really hard. For instance, we have seen how doctors during COVID crisis literally burned the midnight oil to save the lives of patients across the continents, and they came as a true corona warriors. Now the next is to die in hardness. That means to die for a cause, to die for a purpose. So we have seen how our respective soldiers constantly, almost every day, die in hardness. They definitely protect or defend the country so that we all can live with peace, we can sleep well, and we can definitely remain innocuous or a safe zone. So they are the ones who basically die, and sacrifice every drop of blood for the country itself. Next word I would like to look at is, the idiom, which is to keep pace with, which means to go side by side. For instance, as and when you become an international student, you will be learning how to keep pace with your studies and even indulging into a part-time job. Next is to keep at the arm's length. That means to keep something very far away. For instance, it is so important for you to try to keep all the bad company at your arm's length, because definitely it just is very easy to indulge into such a bad company. So it means entrance is easy but exit is almost impossible. Next idiom we have is to keep in the dark, which means to ignore something completely. Well, never keep your health in dark. Whenever you see certain symptoms, make sure that you get timely diagnosis and avoid the chances of further falling ill. Next we have is to kill two birds with one stone. For instance, as and when you definitely go abroad, you learn how to kill two birds with one stone, which means that you learn how to study, take up a job, yes, learn all the important aspects, have certain responsibilities, and become true victorious in every facet of life. Next I would like to have here, which is to leave no stone unturned, which means to try every possible thing. For instance, student left no stone unturned to score 8.5 bands in IELTS and received a great scholarship also. Next I would like to look at is to nip in the bud, which means to suppress at its initial stage. I think it's so important the moment you just find certain symptoms in your body, be it a disease or a virus, so you can nip in the bud with the help of early precautions. So precaution is always better than cure. Next I would like to look at is to see eye to eye with, which means to agree with something. It is so important to see eye to eye with doctors and teachers also, because these are the true professionals whom you need throughout your life. Next I would like to look at is to steal, march on. That means to take over something. It is so important that we should obviously have certain plans in life, and we have seen how some entrepreneurs are very successfully able to steal march over the other. Right now we have seen how Elon Musk and its very important project Signal that is able to steal march over WhatsApp to a great extent. All over the world we have seen this is a new phenomenon in the entire continents. Next I would like to look at is to be at one's beck and call. That means at someone's command. For instance, we can say that yes, all the lieutenants are always at the beck and call of the wing commander. Same way, we have seen students are always at the beck and call of the teachers. Next I would like to look at is a flying visit. That means a very short visit. For instance, we have seen friends made a trip to a hill station and they indeed made quite a flying visit over there. Next we have here is a hairbreadth escape. Hairbreadth escape means a narrow escape. For instance, we have seen how, sometimes there are people who have a hairbreadth escape or miraculous escape from any terrible accident also. Next, which is a laughing stock, which means a reason of laughter. For instance, we have seen that some comedy programs in the country are laughing stock for the world. Next few, a lion's share, that means a major part of something. These days we have seen a lion's share of your budgeting goes into health treatments if you don't take precautions in the first place. Next, which is all and sundry, which means without any discrimination. For instance, all and sundry are invited to the temples. Same way, there are some philanthropists who definitely never discriminate and they welcome all and sundry. Next is kith and kin, that is near and dear ones. For example, at the program or at the wedding or function, all the kith and kin are invited. Next we have is part and parcel. For instance, we can say that IELTS is indeed part and parcel of your life. It's your first step, it's your last step. Next few, which is spick and span, which means very neat and clean. For instance, we have seen there are a few cities of the country like Chandigarh and Bangalore, which are considered to be quite spick and span. We have last few indeed. Let's look at. Yes, so the next one I would like to give you would be an apple of discord, which means a reason of conflict. For instance, we have seen how, sometimes a piece of land becomes an apple of discord between the countries. Let's take an example of India and China and India and Pakistan. Next is by hook or by crook. For example, you will have to clear your exam by hook or by crook and, fly to your dream destination and do wonders in your life and career. Next, yes, the next is by leaps and bounds, which means a very speedy and exponential growth. For instance, we have seen how Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jefferson Bezos, and yes, the current one, Elon Musk, has these old people have grown by leaps and bounds and they have touched new pinnacle of adoration in the world. Next, which is in black and white, which means in written format. For instance, it's so important for you to always maintain your medical prescriptions or your legal documents in black and white. The last few. Next is through thick and thin, which means in every possible condition. True friends are the ones who always help each other through thick and thin. And the last two, with open arms, which means, yes, welcoming someone. For instance, we should try to welcome change with open arms, the way we welcome our friends. And the very last one is at the 11th hour, which means the last moment. For instance, the doctor arrived at the 11th hour and saved the life of the patient. So this brings us to the end of the range of idioms. There are many more which I'll be definitely presenting to you. Attending these lectures would definitely modify your content and all in all it will proliferate your balance in the exam. Thank you so much for watching.